Welcome to Little Big Thumbs. My name is JP, aka Big Papa Thumbs, and with me today is Milo and Chris. Today, we want to talk about a game that we are all pretty darn excited about. The name of that game is Fossilis. This is a game published by Kids Table Board Gaming. It is designed by David Diaz, and the illustrations are done by Apolline Etienne. And this is an exciting game about digging up dinosaur bones from the board and trying to build your own replicates of these old-timey, super cool dinosaurs. So before we learn how to play the game, one of the most interesting and fun parts of the game is actually the setup. We are going to look at how to set up Fossilis. Let's go. So the first thing we do when we're setting up Fossilis is we're going to take off this really intricate dinosaur hat thing on the board. I'm going to set that aside. And Chris, if you want to help me here, we're just going to take these various dino bits here and we're just going to toss them into the dino contraption. Nice. Nice.
Salt Bay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's about how it goes.
And then once all the fossils and hammers are in there, we're going to take that and we're going to shake it up and we're going to shake it up. Why don't you give it a shake, Chris?
So the main thing is just to make sure that you shake it up well and don't just dump them all over to one edge.
All right, something like that. You want to give it a shake too?
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
Suddenly, I'm not the most ridiculous person at the table.
Definitely not.
And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take this, what is actually our scoring board, and we're going to slide it in here. Oh, oh. And then we're going to take the fancy hat off of the board. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take all of these delicious ceramic-y things. What do you think these are made of? Like Bakelite type tiles?
I think they're just some sort of plastic or resin or something like that. Like that.
That's all right.
JP, is there like a certain rule you have to follow when placing these on here?
It's a great question, Milo. So these spots right here on the board, there's 4 of them, and these are designated for these gray tiles, and that's representing the most dense rock that we're going to be trying to dig our way through in our Fossilis board. And so there needs to be those 4 stone tiles there, and there can never be a stone tile on top of another stone tile. And so we're going to be adding these to the board, and we're going to have 3 of these sand tiles just set aside for later in the game. And so now we can just dive in, and we can pile these up.
Yeah, so you have sand, clay, and stone, and as you can see, they have different numbers of resources on them, and that corresponds to how heavy the material is.
That's a great setup there.
Yeah, so there's no real like set arrangement for them.
That's right. Just as we were talking about, these 4 spots right here are going to have stone tiles on them, and as long as stone's not on top of stone, and there's not a second layer of tiles in the 4 corners of the board, then we're going to be good to go. Good as gold, candy, baby. I don't know. Chris, you want to give that a pull for me?
Sure. I want to. Yeah. There you go.
Now, this is the magic right here. This is the magic. Pay attention close to the kids. This is.
There we go.
So satisfying.
It really is.
This is one of the most fun setups in all of board gaming that I think I've ever experienced.
How else would you set up a number of holes with random little bits in them covered by tiles? I can't think of another way you could do it.
That's right. Basically what we're saying is bravo, Kids Table Board Gaming, bravo, David Diaz. And the last thing we need to do to set up this part of the board is to place our explorer people right onto each of the 4 corners of the board.
Oh, you took the good ones.
Sure, why not? So our next step in our setup is going to be taking, I just dropped these all over the floor. That's okay. You only need 9 of them. The rest of them can just sit on the floor for the rest of the game.
Yep, we'll excavate them later.
I saved one. So of those tiles that we just dropped on the floor, 9 of them are going to go onto our scoreboard. And we're going to take a look a little bit closer at what specific ones we have at our disposal a little bit later. And now we'll move on to the next stage of our setup. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take 3 cards from the event deck that Chris is shuffling right now, and they're going to go right here onto the board. And those are going to be the only 3 events that we deal with for the entire game. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our plaster and place it upon the event deck. And that sort of acts as a timer for when the rounds are going to shift in the game. And you'll see as we play our sample round today how they move about to the different players and how that triggers the next step of the game. The next step is that we're going to meet our first dinosaurs of the game. We're going to have 4 of these dino recipe cards out on the board. So the final step of our setup is going to be to take 2 supply cards and 2 tool cards and to create a face-up row on the board. I'm going to try to set these up here. And so with that, we are set up to play Fossilis. And so the steps for a round of Fossilis are as follows. Each player is going to have 4 energy, they're sort of action points that they can use to take different activities in the game. And then after that, a player will have the opportunity to purchase one of the 4 trade row type cards over here. And then the final step that a player can take is to acquire one of the dinosaur cards up top there, as long as they have at least one of the bones that dinosaur requires. And so you can see right here, we've got this little handy dandy cheat sheet here that tells us the various actions that we can take with our energy points. Milo, why don't you tell us what the first energy action is?
Sure. So this one right here costs 1 energy to do, and you're just going to take a plaster. When you take a plaster, it's always going to be from over here, unless otherwise noted.
For 1 energy, you get 1 or 2 movements, which can be either orthogonal or diagonal. So for 1 energy, I can move all the way from my corner to the center.
If for some reason your digger person has been bumped off of the board, for 1 action, 1 energy action, you can come back onto the board, but it does have to be on one of the open tiles from the side that you fell off of on a previous turn.
Similarly, for this one, you're going to use 1 energy action to do it, and it's placing 1 sand tile back onto the board here. To do that, you need to be adjacent to an empty space, and then you can place it there. Or, if you've been knocked off of the board and you're looking to come back on, and there's, empty spaces, you can place the sand tile onto an empty space. That way you can jump back on there later.
So digging a tile in this just means moving 1 tile, 1 space. So depending on the weight of the tile that you are going to be digging, it will cost either 1, 2, or 3 energy. Moving 1 tile, 1 space like that, not very interesting. But if instead I were over here, I can push any tile that is orthogonally next to my digger. I can also just move this tile 1 space in this direction. And since this got knocked off of the board, I get to keep it for its resources that I can then use to buy a card from the market.
If someone had been in that space, would you just push them off?
Yes. That is one of the 2 ways that you can get yeeted right off this board.
Wait, what's the other way?
If you're on a tile that falls off, you'll also get pushed off.
Okay, that makes sense.
So there are a couple of restrictions in what tiles you're allowed to push with other tiles. For one thing, you can't push a stack of 2 with a stack of 1. So I would not be allowed to push this tile in this direction, because these stacks are higher than here. And also you cannot push a tile that is heavier than the tile that you're starting off with. So if I were over here, I would not be allowed to push this tile in this direction because the stone is heavier than the clay. I could push this stone in this direction because it's only pushing stone and sand, which are of course the same weight or lighter than the stone I'm pushing. That's pretty much all you need to know about digging.
So the last action that you can take on your turn is the extraction action. So what you do with that is you're going to take these super cool little tweezers, guys, and you're going to dig into one of the open holes that has been created by the digging action that Chris just talked about. And you're going to pull yourself out something cool. Now, if you look at our player boards here, there is a cost listed down here. You notice our plaster cube there that tells us that a tooth is going to require 2 plaster. A bone is going to require 3. Ribs are going to require 4. This is the hip. A hip is going to require 5. A skull is going to require 6. And there is no cost at all to extract a hammer. Now, if you do grab a hammer, you immediately are going to send your hammer right over to these hammer tiles here. These hammer tiles. Burn, the hammer tiles. And you're going to grab yourself one of these cool actions that is going to give you some sort of benefit for the rest of the game. These are super cool. You do want to grab a hammer, but you can only grab a maximum of 1 per turn. And that is, my friends, the extraction action. Before we dig into this game, let's talk a little bit about how we win the game with points. So there are points to be had for every dinosaur you have successfully built in your dino kitchen by getting all of the required bones. However, if you don't complete your dinosaur and that recipe is still in your kitchen but has not been fully prepared, you'll still get points for the bones that you have acquired. In addition, there will be bones to be scored that are in your playing area but not assigned to a dino recipe. And in addition to that, there is a set collection aspect where you can see all of these lovely symbols here, which you will score anytime you get 3 of a kind of that symbol. And you can see on our dino cards here, we've got all of these lovely symbols here that you will have as soon as you acquire that dinosaur. You will have those symbols regardless of whether or not you have successfully crafted that dinosaur recipe properly. There are also points to be had over here, and I believe those are the various ways to get points in the game. Who was the last person to have gone to a museum?
Museum? I don't know. But I went to the Discovery Center like a month ago.
Close enough.
Ooh, that's close enough.
Cool. So, for energies, I'm going to spend 1. Ooh. Mostly some leg bones, and I see a hammer. Yeah, I gotta gain me some plaster first.
Yeah, you can't get any bones yet.
I'm gonna take 3 plaster, and that's the end of my turn.
Okay.
Wait, it says buy a card.
So Milo has this 1 amber available to spend. Right now we don't have any cards that require just 1 amber to buy. So buying a card is not an option right now. And you don't have any bones available, so you cannot acquire a dinosaur at this time. And so therefore I think that would make it my turn. So I've got my 4 actions. So I'm going to slide this tile right here, right off of there. I got myself, oh, look at that. Nothing needs a footprint. Well, that was a good choice.
Welcome to the team.
I'm going to move 2. I'm going to bump this one off. I suppose I should look and see what's in there. Nothing! There's nothing in this one.
You don't need to know what's in there.
There's a jackpot in here. I think I'm going to get myself a plaster. So that was my 4 actions. I don't have anything needed to buy a card. I don't have any bones, so I can't grab a dinosaur. Chris, It is your turn.
I am going to do a move action. So I'll move 2 spaces.
You gonna push me off the board?
Would I do that to you?
Yes.
You're right. So that was my second and third action because I pushed a clay tile. And I think I will just take a plaster.
Nice. Okay, I am going to spend 3 plaster to take out a leg bone. Alright, I'm going to take a leg bone. Oh, and I'm also going to grab that hammer there.
Oh, geez.
So now I get to take one of those extra thingies. I'm going to take the 5 points.
Okay.
So do I just put this hammer over there?
Yep.
Nice. So now I'm going to move once. That was my second action, and my third action, I will push this off. My third and fourth.
Mm-hmm.
Boop, boop. Now, if I wanted, I could spend this tile here and gain this. So that would gain me 2 plasters, right?
That's right.
Yep.
And the...
Do those not come from this pile? Or do they also come from this
I believe
pile?
they do. I think everything comes from that
Okay.
pile.
The picture of the tooth doesn't mean anything, does it?
You get a tooth.
Means
Oh,
you
I
have-
do?
Yeah, you can
Yeah.
use
Oh,
that.
like that is a tooth.
Yeah.
Yeah, it counts as a tooth, I think.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm going to spend this then. And I will take this. Nice.
So now that this clay tile is spent, it actually gets removed from the game because only sand tiles can be placed back onto the board with an action.
I'm also going to... I think I'm going to take a dinosaur. I think I'm going to take this scary looking shark thing.
You're not taking the herbivore that's built entirely of teeth?
No. All right.
Did you get your 2 plaster already?
No, I didn't. Plaster me.
Consider yourself plastered.
Okay, so on my turn, I think the first thing I have to do is spend an action to bring myself onto the board. And I have to come in on this side. I think I am going to hop on right there, and I am going to use my 3 remaining actions to bump this tile off. Let's see what's in that corner there. There's a single hammer in there.
Hammer time.
Hammer time. Can't touch that because I'm out of actions. So I've got this super cool tile here, and I don't get change if I spend it to buy something down there. So it might not be my best option to do that at this time. But I think I'm gonna wait. I think maybe that was not my best choice. Chris, it's your turn. Thanks for knocking me off the board.
Always happy to oblige. I think I'm just going to move 1 and push this off. Revealing nada.
Okay, are you going to buy anything or...
The answer is no, because everything takes an egg and I have no eggs, because I chose my tile poorly.
Okay. So, my first action, I will go 1, 2. Second action, I'm going to remove this. Second and third action, I will remove that. Fourth action, take a plaster. Now, I'm going to spend these 2 eggies. Actually, you know what? I'm going to spend all of... Yes. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna move 2. 1, 2. I'm gonna dig this tile right off of there. What do we got there, Chris?
Nothing.
What? Who mixed up this? Who's the last one to mix up this board?
Not me. No wonder you're winning.
All right, I'm going to go 1, 2 again, and then I'm going to excavate that hammer right there.
Are you really? Because could have fooled me.
If I had a hammer, a bright new hammer, right here in my hand today. Yes, I was born in the 70s. What of it?
I didn't say anything, old man.
So this is spend 1 energy to gain 2 plaster. So I'm doubling my
plaster intake.
plaster intake.
Plaster intake.
All right, that was my 4 actions. Chris, back to you. Actually, before you take your turn,
Okay.
if you don't mind, I'm going to spend these 2 footy print tiles here. And I am going to take this supply card. Thank you, Chris. So I've got 2 plaster now, and I've got this bone at my disposal. And because I've got a bone at my disposal, I can grab myself a dino recipe card. And I think I'm going to grab this Platyosaurus. Platyosaurus, 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 Platyosaurus. All right, Chris, it's your turn.
I think I will move to here. I will drop this guy. And then for funsies, I will dump this guy. Yeah, I'm going to spend these guys for this card. And that's my turn.
All right.
I'm gonna do some movements. I'm gonna go 1, 2 as 1 action.
Uh-oh.
I'll go here as a, second action. And then I will excavate. And I'm going to pick up a tooth. So that costs me 2 plaster. I will take this little toothy here. And now I have 1 more action. I will move
Away
there.
from the edge.
Yeah. Okay, so now...
A wise choice.
Now I'm going to actually spend... I guess I'll take this dinosaur here and actually complete it right now because I have 2 tooths. So that's going to be 11 points.
Yep. So you've scored it what's called perfectly. All the way up to 11.
So it is over to me. I've got a plan in mind. I'm going to use my fancy spend 1 energy to gain 2 plaster to spend 1 energy to gain 2 plaster. Then I'm going to move away from these empty holes in the board.
Damn.
And I'll be shocked if there's not a rib in here. Oh yes, there's a rib. Here, ribby, ribby, ribby. Oh. So that was take 2 plaster, move, and extract. Is there a hammer in there too? There is a hammer in there. Extraction action.
Nice.
And boom.
Oh, I
got
totally
myself
forgot about the
a
hammers.
sweet hammer. So the bonus I am taking is to dig tiles that are diagonal from you instead of orthogonal. Doesn't really benefit me in this case because I've only got 1 action left when I spend these 4 plaster.
I wasn't going to let you forget, don't worry.
Spend these 4 plaster to pay for that rib that I just purchased. I've got 1 action left, and so I think I might just, I don't know, I'll push this over there. Why not? Why not? Is there anything else here that I want to purchase? No. Oh, and we need to replace our dino. We've got a Deinonychus. So many dinosaurs I've never heard of before.
Yeah, and they all have little facts on them too.
Oh, the Deinonychus. Its name means terrible claw, a reference to the oversized sickle-shaped talons found on its hind feet. Study of the Deinonychus sparked the notion that dinosaurs could have been quick and nimble predators. Chris, it's your turn.
Okay. So I am going to start with an extract, excavate, whatever you want to call it. So I pulled a hammer out, and I'm going to take the power that lets me extract hips and skulls for 1 less plaster.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
every one of these hammer tiles is super powerful and really fun to have in your disposal.
They really are. So I'm going to do a move. Bop you on the head there and move to there. And then I'm going to yeet that tile. That's all my actions, though, so I'm donezo.
Okay. What does this one mean? Spend 1 plaster in place of 1 fragment.
So when
these are fragments.
Yeah, when you're buying a
Gotcha.
card, you can pay 1 plaster in place of any 1 resource.
Okay,
exactly
question
1 plaster.
about the plaster situation.
Mm-hmm.
So because there's only 1 there, does that mean that I could only take 1 plaster?
No, you would
Okay.
take any extras that you would be owed from the supply.
Cool. Okay.
That's where they come from, the supply, right?
All right. In that case, I think I'm just gonna take 4 plaster for my entire turn.
So this is the pool, and that's the supply, I think.
That's right.
Yeah. So there's your 1.
And then 3.
And at the end of your turn, this event fires, I believe. Okay. Event the first. Mudslide. Start to the right of the active player. So that's going to be me. In reverse turn order, players place any 1 clay tile back on the dig site until 3 total have been placed. If clay runs out, place sand. If sand then runs out, stop placing. So starting with me and in reverse turn order, I will put this here.
I'm just going to put this here and hopefully I'm blocking Chris.
Exciting stuff.
Yep.
All right.
So now we refresh the plaster pool back up to 12. 4 per person, per player.
And so while Chris is refreshing there, that brings us to the end of the first round of the game. So a full game of Fossilis would normally take 4 rounds. But for the purposes of this video, we are going to wrap it up here at the end of the first round. Of course, we are going to finish this game once we finish recording today. And I'd love to know, who do you think is going to win the game? Let us know in the comments. I'm not counting myself out. I'm in the running here. So we've told you how to set up the game. That's super cool setup. We have explained, I think, pretty accurately how to play the game. We've played the first round of Fossilis, and so now we are here to wrap up our thoughts. So what I'd like to do here is I'd like each of you to pose 1 question to the other 2, and then once we've all answered each other's questions, I would like a verdict. Now we are little big thumbs, but we are all big thumbs players here, so I want to know whether you give this game no thumbs, 1 thumb, or 2 thumbs up. First question goes to Milo.
All right. My question is, do you see yourselves playing this game pretty regularly?
I can only speak for myself, but yes.
And only should you.
Yes. But I see myself playing this game frequently and often. For me, I think this is my 5th or 6th time playing Fossilis, and I just adore it. It offers so many unique experiences and opportunities, and just the tactile experiences of touching everything in the game. and for those reasons, on top of the fact that it's a really interesting game, I will be coming back to this on a regular basis.
I don't see myself playing it frequently, but I would be happy to play it once in a while. I do love a lot of things about it. It's just not the sort of game that I would want to play like every week or every other week or something like that.
I would definitely be playing this super often if I had the game. It isn't in my collection yet, but I do plan on getting it. Despite the fact that my friend has a copy, I need my own copy because I probably want to play it more than JP even does, you know? Like, there's just, like, what you were saying about being able to, like, touch everything and that it's very tactile is something that appeals to me as well. It's just super fun. And yeah, I definitely want to play it all the time.
All right, my question for you, my friends, is about the interaction of the game. So my question for you is the experience of knocking the pieces off of the board and forcing a player to use an action to get back into the game. The ways that you could potentially block somebody in the way you place tiles or you move tiles. As far as a mean factor goes in this game, is the mean factor something that might turn you off of playing with certain players? Chris?
For this game, I don't think the I guess negative player interaction, if you want to phrase it that way, does anything to turn me off of this, because it's not very frequent. Really, the only thing that you can do against someone else directly is to knock them off the board, and then they just pop back up again. Really, the more frustrating aspect is if someone just takes a bone you want, and that's just part of the game. It's not somebody punching you in the face by knocking you off the board. It's just, I wanted that thing and then you took it, so I can't have it anymore.
Yeah, and that often is in a lot of games.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's that different. I'm going to agree with Chris. I don't think that there's a ton of negative player interaction at all, except that one little piece. And honestly, I think that brings a bit of like humor and fun to the game as well.
Yeah.
Just knocking somebody off.
Yeah.
This is just a healthy amount of friction for my friends. I would happily be knocked off of the board by Chris. I love those moments in games because he knows that if he knocks me off in the game, that it's likely going to come back to him at some point, and that's just good for a laugh on a regular basis.
And you've come to expect that sort of behavior from me in the first place anyway.
100%.
So I guess my question is, what is your favorite design aspect of this game, and why is it the board setup?
Apart from the board setup, which is definitely it's high on the list of things that I love about the game. I love that there are little fun facts on each of the dinosaur cards. You know, like a lot of these dinosaurs I had never even heard of before, and it's telling you about that dinosaur, and I think that's pretty cool. So I'm learning as we're playing the game.
I think if I were to choose one aspect of this, it might be the actual collection of bones. This business, this little tweezer guy here, it has like this nostalgic flashback to playing Operation without all of the negative buzzer stress that comes along with that.
Panic.
There is just something fun, purely fun, about pulling pieces out of the board and then using those pieces to build your dinosaurs. These dinosaur recipes, they're very minimalistic. As Chris noted earlier, there's a dinosaur that we played with that is made up entirely of teeth, which is hilarious, but it's also really straightforward. It doesn't need to be a pure simulation of building dinosaurs. So I love the collecting of bones, just the way it happens and how that digging actually translates into the actual game mechanics of Fossilis.
An interesting thing to add to that too is a bunch of the like all of the dinosaurs require certain sets of bones, but even though there are skulls that you are able to collect, none of the dinosaurs actually require them. They're just pure points. So I guess none of the dinosaurs that ever lived needed heads. My favorite aspect of the design, aside from the setup, because that's not part of like the gameplay, is just how intuitive the actions of pushing tiles are. So you push a tile, and the things that happen are what are supposed to happen. You push a tile, something falls off. Yeah, that's how it's supposed to work. You push a tile, somebody falls, they're gone. You just push a tile, and what happens, happens. And it just works.
It just works.
All right, my friends, it is the moment of truth. I want to know, each of you, whether you give Fossilis no thumbs, 1 thumb, or 2 thumbs. First up is Milo.
Fossilis is, it's a lot of fun. It's so engaging that even, more seasoned players, I think, when they come to the table, they'll have a really great time. And it's just a great, cute, little family-friendly game.
Chris, your verdict. 2 thumbs up. All right.
Yep. So I just really liked how sort of elegant the design was. Just the way the components just work together and operate in a very intuitive way. It's a very nice design. I have a lot of fun with it.
And you might not be surprised by this in the way that I've been raving about this game from the beginning of the video to this point, but this is getting 2 gigantic thumbs up from the thumbs of Big Papa Thumbs, and it is everything. It is everything I like about a game. The actual experience of playing the game, the mechanical experience is fantastic. The tactical experience of touching everything and feeling everything just makes me happy. The setup of the game is some of the most fun I've had setting up a board game ever. And on top of that, this game comes with a sort of a modular family mode where you can remove bits of the game to include children or inexperienced players. And that makes me so happy. My kids are going to be able to play Fossilis much sooner than they might otherwise be able to. And in the at least in the Kickstarter version that I received, there's also a solo mode. As someone who plays solo games on a semi-regular basis, that's exciting to me. I love to have that option, and that's going to make sure that Fossilis hits the table on a regular basis. This one's a keeper. It's staying in my collection. So 2 big thumbs up. And that makes a unanimous decision of 6 thumbs up. Thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Little Big Thumbs. If you liked the video, give us that thumbs up. If you have something to say, if we got a rule wrong, if you caught Chris cheating, let us know in the comments.
You won't catch me.
And if you want to follow along with our other videos and ideas as we evolve the channel, please hit that subscribe button. We'd love to have you along for the ride. So until next time, this is JP, Chris, and Milo saying goodbye.
Bye.